Go live. All right.
I think we're good. There's no
I
time countdown.
that's just it. We're live. We're
That's
live.
it. That's it.
So listen, another week in AI news.
Yeah.
But listen, when is Mac going to release a model? I think is the question I've got. Like, if anybody can just release a 400 billion parameter model and cheat on somebody else's homework, I wonder when Matt's going to release this. That
No way.
this is my commentary
I
here.
I don't see a point.
That's kind of where and sorry, I'm talking about Llama Thor, Llama 4, sorry, not Llama Thor. And
Mhm.
it seems like there's a bit of an arms race going on here. So that's to
Yeah.
say, like, everyone's trying to one up each other on new
Right.
models and things like that. I think sometimes in the software industry we can lose track of the goal or like our motivation or the
Mhm.
outcome, and it feels like this may have been one of those cases where like what might be considered an unfair advantage, or some other people may consider it illegal activity,
Right.
or maybe even just cheating on a test, like saying, "Hey, here are the answers or the way of answering that people
Hmm.
prefer in something like a big leaderboard sort of thing." I don't know if a product manager came to me and said like, "Hey, can you download petabytes of stuff off torrent for me?" It'd be like, I don't know. Or like, hey, can we align this model in order to answer these questions in a way where people will be more favorably vote on our stuff? It feels like, I guess, to me, Meta seemed to have made a big mark, and there wasn't like a lull in any releases or anything like that. So it felt to me like doing all these shady things, I guess, or dark pattern kind of stuff wasn't required. And that's
Yeah.
just me. That says nothing about like the whistleblower stuff that's going on in the U.S. right now in terms of like what Meta did in order to
Oh,
appease different
yeah.
governments and stuff like that. But yeah, cheating on your homework is not the best. The worst part is that like you get temporary gains. I think for one day people were all
Yeah.
excited about this new model, and then we started trying out, and I was like, I mean, it's good,
Yeah.
but like for this amount of memory, is it good? No.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for
It's like uh it feels like OpenAI is learning from Google how to release a model to oversell it, overhype it, and it turns out to be
Yeah. What's in their news? Is it I'm trying to think of the newest one on that end. There's an alpha or something. Oh, it's 4.1, GPT 4.1.
mm-hmm,
My understanding is that some testing of this seems to show that it's actually pretty good, pretty cheap,
mm-hmm,
which is nice, and that there might be a new mini model coming out as well. But
hmm,
what are there, like, 3 companies in this race? I would say maybe 4. Let's assume DeepSeek's in it too. So we've got ChatGPT, we've got
mm-hmm.
we've got OpenAI, we've got Anthropic, and then we've got Meta. Seem to be the big players, and there's probably something around like Quinn, DeepSeek, QWQ
Yeah.
Coder, something around like one of those open source models is also
Yeah,
coming
there's
out as well.
Tencent, which is
Right,
a bunch of those,
right.
but not everything.
Okay.
And I'd say Mistral is also.
Yeah, people never talk about Mistral in terms of the
Now,
mixture of
what is the
experts.
game that we're talking about? Is the hosted models?
I think it's just in general.
Oh,
Yeah,
models in general. Okay.
yeah, like if there's a top 5 or top 10, right?
Text
Yeah, yeah,
models outputting text.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, text models for sure. Yeah, that seems to be
Mm,
the focus right now. But agree, there are
yeah.
definitely other models like multimodal.
Yeah.
And again, for me,
IBM
from
has some things.
oh, okay, what does
Um,
IBM?
and does
Well, they got
does
Watson X,
Amazon have any models, or are they just hosting
Nova.
others?
Yeah, they got
Nova.
Nova,
Yeah.
which I have tried and it seemed fine, but it's difficult to
Yeah.
test against other stuff because
And is
you gotta use it.
Microsoft has a model, right?
They
Or is it?
bought a company who made Phi, so they've got Phi 4,
Oh,
I think.
right.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so that right. So another way to examine this would be the amount of footprint taken and like
Right.
what could be a mobile model or what might be something that runs on a
Right.
Raspberry Pi. I guess would be another dimension here. Yeah. So in
Yeah.
this, I guess in this playing field, I don't think anyone thinks Meta is losing ground. It's kind of what I was getting at, and it felt like a
Hmm.
silly move. It's somebody who, to me at least, is in the lead. Why would you release something that I don't know? It just feels wrong.
Right.
You okay there?
Yeah. No, I was looking at my other screen to figure out where the top of the browser was,
Gotcha.
so I could see if there were any. It's been a few days since I looked to see if there were any new models on Olama. I don't think there's been anything recent. Deepcoder
Yeah, new version of
and then
Decoder, and there's a
Mistral Small.
Mr. Small, and then there's Llama 4 Q4, I think is what I was playing around with.
Yeah.
Because the Llama did get it from someone
Okay.
else, but yeah, the context window is not there.
Hmm.
And you're gonna run out of system memory if you try to increase
And
it pretty high.
Cogito?
Cogito, maybe?
Cogito? I don't know who's doing this one.
So one that Jason and
Cogito.
I stumbled across on LM Arena was called Lunar Call, but we didn't know about the whole what are they called? Like it's like people put a model out for feedback and they don't tell you what it is, kind of thing. It's like a
Hmm.
proxy, so it's got a fake name.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to think it's Google and that it might be Gemini 2.5 Pro,
Right.
but we just stumbled across Lunar Call, and I think it was R1 versus Lunar Call, and Lunar Call was quite
Hmm.
good in the example that we were looking at. But it seems like there are newer models being tested in LM Arena that are quickly going up the charts. But my understanding is that they remove them pretty quickly. Another one was Moonshot prior to that, which is why they
Hmm.
think Lunar Call might be related. But
Yeah.
it's heating up yet again, and I don't think
Yeah.
anybody thought Meta was falling behind, I guess is what I'm getting at. So it
Right.
seemed like not the
So
wrong
Deep
time, but yeah,
Cogito is
yeah.
it's a San Francisco based
Oh,
research org.
8 days ago.
Yeah.
Huh. Reasoning models. Wow.
Is it a reasoning?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to TechCrunch.
Okay. So I'm instantly less impressed without even seeing it.
Oh, that is reasoning. Yeah, because like,
Reasoning.
yeah.
Everything that so far that we've seen that's reasoning model is like not really
I
worth
feel like if you're
my
trying to write
time.
code, reasoning models don't really help you at all. They just slow things down,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, okay. You're kind of the same boat. I think we talked last week about the latency kind of thing
Yeah.
because if anything, it seems to increase the latency, which means that the
Yeah.
virtuous cycle is slower, which means that you feel like you're coding slower, which is no
Right.
fun. Yeah, I have you tried Gemini 2.5 Pro for coding?
I don't know what I was using
I think it's a
last
drop down on windsurf,
on.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what I was using last time. I don't remember what I was making last time. Um, there was some little utility I needed, and I banged it up pretty quick. Oh, it was actually it wasn't a it wasn't. I mean, it was. I was just writing some bash stuff
Okay,
to track
you're
when was
talking
the
my
last
language.
time that when was the last time Olama Serve shows up was being used in like PS? You know, the when was that process last being used? And so it checks every minute to see if Olama Serve shows up. And the last time it does, it like kind of counts down. And if it hasn't been seen for 60 minutes, it shuts the machine down. And that way, if you have a big ass machine, such
Hmm.
as, oh, I don't know, one with eight H100s, it can
Hmm.
shut down. Even though I'm not paying, I'm getting credits, and um, it'd be nice to lengthen the life of those credits a little bit.
Right now, System D, I think is the answer. Did you write in System D?
Um,
I think that's the right approach, right? Because I've also been using Bash recently just to play around with this. No, would
I
you?
ended up using something to tell me, what's the best way of figuring this out. So
Okay, because like
first
Supervisor D is
asking,
what I used to use.
um, so it's not, so it's not just seeing if the Olama, sorry, it's not Olama serve, it's Olama run. So, or
Ah,
Olama runner. So there's
okay.
a command line arg that is not, when you look do a help, I don't know if it's listed there.
Hmm.
It's Olama runner, and it's the thing that actually runs and it's the same thing for if you use Olama run or use the API, you'll see this Olama runner process, and it'll live for whatever your time your alive time is set to, which is defaults to 5 minutes, and you'll see that running. And then when it stops, that goes away. Olama
Okay.
Serve stays running, and so
Right.
that'll just keep running forever. I like use hardly any CPU,
Nothing.
but
Yeah, barely any overhead.
there's Olama Runner, which will
Ah,
run for just a short amount, or just for the amount of time that the model's actually loaded. And so you watch that, and when it's not been used for 60 minutes, then kill it.
very
So I
interesting.
don't think I do anything fancy.
Yeah, it's like process
Just
tracking, right?
yeah,
All
and
right.
I
If
basically
only
had it
there was a
so that
product that did process monitoring for you. Sorry.
and had a workflow engine built
I
into it.
mean,
Yeah, um, yeah. Uh, and what did I? Oh yeah, and then I had to also watch for, so I could set a configuration file that said look for Olama space runner.
mhm,
So looking for that thing. It's not like a Olama runner command. It's Olama is the
right.
command, and then runner is a whatever command line arg. Um,
Subtask, I think. If you looked at
okay,
the tree, I think you'd see a
yeah.
sub process. Yeah.
Um, and then, but also look for invoke, which is that kind of
Hmm.
text to image and image to image generation tool.
Right on.
So look for
And
those two, and if it's not being used, then bring the machine down.
so I just because I can, I was looking at the source code just a second ago. I think in there's a log that it writes, right? The Olama runner, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
Do you grab the log, or are you actually looking at the processes?
I don't know. You want to? I mean, it's on GitHub.
Oh, you don't know what you're doing?
Can't remember. I wrote it like 4 days ago. I can't remember that
I
far
was
back.
about to say, yeah, that sounds like forever ago. I just asked
Um,
because sometimes there's a question between polling. So would I keep
right.
checking on a regular basis to see if something there, or am I reactive? So like when a log thing comes through, then something else can happen. I guess there's a couple different approaches here. Is what I was asking.
So, um, I mean, it's on github.com/technoevangelist/shut-eye.
Shut eye. Woo. No
Yeah,
no
like
sleep for the wicked.
shut
Yeah,
down,
I
and then a
hear you.
viewer.
Uh huh.
I asked a model to come up with a cool, sexy name, and it came up with that.
Shut eye. All one
Shut
word.
eye. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I wrote it in shell. Oh, there is a service in here. Okay. Yeah, you're not too bad. Yeah, you've got a unit in here. All right. And then, yeah, let's see what you're actually doing. It's a process monitor
Yeah.
that does have logging.
Yeah.
Yes, he says.
Yeah. I'm getting down to that point myself in the code. Yeah. 195, 230, yeah, around there. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So
I've been using Bash a lot with these languages because I'm at the point now where I feel like I can trust them enough. And of all the languages that I know, I feel like Bash is one of them that I've used the most.
mhm,
And still there's still some areas of Bash. I think we talked about Bash expansion last week, but there's still some
mhm,
cases and stuff like that, and functions. There's still some things where the models are trained on a type of Bash. Let's just call it Dirty Bash or maybe Cowboy Bash if you want to, which is
yep.
prevalent. It's everywhere. Like the worst scripts that don't do things like
Mhm.
make sure you know where bash is. Like user bin
Right.
env bash, for example, is rarely part of the boilerplate or set. I say EU aux because it's easier for me to remember. European oxen is the thing in my brain, but like set E, like so
Mhm.
there's an exception stop. I
Yep.
think I forget what O is, but anyway, just set OU pipe fail. I think is what the X is for.
Mhm.
It's totally fine. And then it quickly falls apart. Like just in terms of, I saw you had some functions in there, and then some like random wild statements at the end. The way Bash loads is interesting. It's top to bottom, so like the
Yeah.
ordering of these is
Yeah.
in fact important. And then there's different syntax for the functions. So I noticed yours
Right.
had the empty parentheses, which aren't required, but are syntactically something that I
Mm.
expect because you can send them
Right.
arguments, like kind of stuff people don't know. The other is function can start with function, which yours don't, which
Mhm.
is also okay, but still, yeah, it looks more like a different programming language when you put in function, the thing,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh, yeah. I don't know where I was going. I used to have a bash linter every time in every VS
Right,
Code, and that would
right.
always help identify things, especially like around quoting and escape.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
you need something to like help you
Dealing with
guide you
strings
through
in
that.
Bash
Yeah,
is not fun.
yeah, yeah.
And did
Oh,
you like, was it an extension that you installed in every IDE? Because I haven't installed mine in a while. Because I also used to use a bash linter, and I haven't installed it in a minute.
yeah. Um, I don't know what I used. I don't think it's in there now because it's in Windsurf, and there's a few plugins because so the plugins with Windsurf and Cursor, they go to
Mhm.
their own, or no, they go to a third party registry of
They do.
plugins.
Yeah, like the V6
um,
one. Yeah.
and the registry for VS Code, it's not like a secret, but they don't publish where it is
Right.
easily. And so you dig around and you can eventually find it. And so I had long ago switched my repository to point to
Oh,
the
to the
Microsoft
legit
one.
one.
It just
Oh,
works.
interesting. I think it's OpenV6 is the other one, or
Yeah,
OpenV6 Gallery. Yeah, OpenV6
yeah.
Gallery.
And I guess there's some plugins that exist in one, and then there's some plugins that exist on the other, and they don't. Most of them are on both, but
Yeah.
there's some that like I'm not putting it on Microsoft, and the others are like, well, I don't want to do anything different. So
Yeah, I think the main thing is for the quote unquote open Visual Studio Code that doesn't have telemetry and tracking and things
right,
like that, is
right.
that some of the Microsoft extensions still have tracking in them,
Mhm.
and it
Sure.
could just be like, are you using have you used it, kind of thing. That might
Right.
even be the full stop of what they need. But there are
And
people who are allergic to that.
maybe on that other registry, that material theme probably still exists.
Oh yeah, what happened there? Somebody got quite angry about this. I saw this. So you had mentioned the Primagen, and I think I
Right.
got him confused with Theo something or other,
Yeah, yeah.
because they
They
look
both
sort of
have
similar.
mustaches, and
Yeah, but one of
except
them's
one
got
has
very
like
blonde
wild
hair.
yellow hair. Yeah.
And I find him quite annoying. And honestly, the
Yes.
Primagen's pretty annoying too,
As
but
well.
annoying in a
Yes.
way where it's like, I've worked with you, like I've
Yeah.
worked with this exact personality kind of thing.
Right.
It's like, it's fine. He was talking about this material drama, and I'd not heard of it. What happened?
Mm-hmm. Um. Yeah. I don't remember the. Again, this is more than 4 days ago, so I don't remember
Mhm.
the that detail of what exactly happened. But Microsoft didn't like something, and they yanked it, and they deleted it not only from the registry, but from everybody using VS Code. They removed it from their systems as well.
Oh, eh.
So, like
That's
when
not great. Like, the first part's fine. You can take your toys and go
right,
away, and I have a copy of your toys because
as,
they're
that's
open
how
source.
I mean, I didn't have it installed, so I don't know, but that's what I
Yeah.
thought I heard. It
Was
felt
it one
kind
of
of
the
like
defaults?
when Kindle deleted one of the books, or every now and then they delete books, and they delete it off of your Kindle.
Right. Which that 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 really, really, really bothers me to like the core of my being. Because
Yeah,
we're talking about like software ownership, which is a bit of a fallacy.
yeah,
It feels like, or digital media ownership, it feels like a fallacy, but this really nails it home
yeah.
that you're renting this. Like,
You are
this is
totally renting.
absolutely not your platform, and
Right.
you're paying like a lifetime rental fee, but it's still
Sure.
like, if Blockbuster goes away, you can't go back and get that
Right.
movie again, kind of thing, which is
Yeah.
awful, awful, awful.
Yeah. And
That's awful.
that point was the one of the best examples I'd heard of that point was one of the guys that worked at Olama, or still works at Olama. He and his
Mhm.
daughters really like playing on the Switch. They have all these games that they get for the Nintendo Switch, and then you can buy it. When you buy it, you can buy it online, or you can buy the little actual physical media from a store.
Right.
They usually cost the same. Sometimes the one you get from the store is actually sometimes a little bit cheaper,
Correct. Yep.
but you don't get it immediately. And so I don't know if I've ever bought a physical media game for Nintendo Switch. When last time, I mean, it's been probably a year and a half since I last touched my Switch, but
I was like, I get
um,
2 right here, but yeah, I hear you. Do you remember why though? I was trying to copy them for
hmm,
reasons. Yeah, but
sure,
I
sure.
definitely bought them.
Yeah. Um, and so yeah, uh, I have not purchased one, but that
Mhm.
idea was like, oh, there's no difference in how you use the media. You use it the exact same way.
Right.
One of them
Right.
you just have the original, or not original, but you have a copy, physical copy,
Right.
and if anything goes away, you've still got that copy. That now I don't
Yeah.
know if it blocks the device from ever being able to play that game. Mm,
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. No, I
Yeah.
think the main thing that people are scared of with the Switch is things going away. But
Right.
in the Nintendo's defense is maybe a strong word here, but like it to their credit at least, they tend to keep these stores online for 10 to 15 years, like a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That's not to say it's okay to remove all your licenses from like I think the
Right.
last one was the Wii U, for example. And
Right.
like just recently, 2 years ago, it got removed. Uh Not a popular console.
Right.
By the same token, though, I think another one of those stores that was taken down was the DS, not the 3DS, but the DS store. And 3DS is
Mm,
about to go down. Some people still do have their DSs and like
right.
DS Lite or whatever, and like the portable one, and still
Right.
do use it. So for them, this was a big deal because they need to
Right.
be able to get back to the store to get their games, that kind of stuff. I think when it comes to a portable device, I guess is what I'm getting at is like this might be different. It's not like a home
Mm,
console. Like you're not trying to keep up with
sure.
Joneses or anything like that. This is like
Right.
your Tetris or your Animal Crossing or your I think in this case it's probably Pokemon. Is the people are actually angry, but like they lost access
Right.
to a certain version of Pokemon,
Right.
and maybe even more importantly than that, like their save game that they put hours of stuff into, and they've got like
Sure.
little pets inside of the game, and that
Mhm.
you get like an emotional attachment to this
Right.
specific Pikachu that you've leveled up to I don't know whatever
Right.
level. Like I totally get all that, and I don't think that there's a way around this other than like figuring out some sort of offline way for you to host your own
Mhm.
file or something. Like there's
Mm.
something in there. But you heard what Nintendo did for the Switch 2 though, right? With
Uh,
the
n
virtual cartridges?
no.
Okay, so imagine you and I want to play Mario Kart on the Switch. I have Mario Kart. You don't have
Oh,
Mario
yeah.
Kart. I
Right.
might suggest, hey Matt, you can just go out and buy it. It's only $80. Maybe I'll pay half. It's $40.
Mhm.
No problem. Sure. What if Matt brought along a friend? There's three of us that want to play. We
Right.
need to add more. So it becomes a pretty expensive problem pretty quickly because all the players need to get. And I think in Smash, this is probably where things got kind of complicated. Smash, Mario Brothers, some of those Mario Party, Jamboree, I think is another one, where like if you want to play with friends, they had to have the game, and introducing someone to the game and getting it popular is more difficult as a result.
Mhm.
So we lose that kind of sneaker
Right.
net, if you will, approach. And what they've decided to do is introduce a essentially like a virtual I don't know how to call this, like a virtual game card kind of thing that
Mhm.
just has like a code on it, probably a key,
Mm.
and you can loan it to your friends and they can use it for a certain period of time. I don't think you can both use it at the same time, that kind of thing,
Okay.
but you can loan a virtual game is the important part here. So
Mm.
it's not a physical game because I could just give you my copy kind of thing, but you can
Right.
borrow the virtual game, which is interesting. So it's like an unlock code for the store that will then download, but you can't keep it forever, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh,
So as a result,
I had assumed, I mean, just like barely hearing the announcement,
right.
I had assumed it meant that two people could play like a cooperative game or like two at the same time with only one having purchased it. But maybe I
Both.
misunderstood.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
you're right. Both. Yeah, so it seems to cover
Oh,
both of those use cases, which is actually pretty cool. So that your
yeah.
virtual game could, not always could, have a cart. So the thing that you buy in the store could be not a real game, which to
Mm-hmm.
me is pretty annoying because like if I want to be able to play this
Mm,
offline on the plane, that kind of thing, I can't just take
right.
this out of my console and give it to my niece or nephew on the plane and have them play it. They need to get on the plane's Wi-Fi, and good luck downloading a Nintendo game with that. Like it's not gonna
Oh,
happen
so
again.
even if you buy it in the stores, you don't, it's not
Maybe.
on the, oh,
Yeah, like there could be versions that are like
okay.
that, and I think the reasoning on their end is like the storage required for some of these games won't fit
Sure.
on the cartridge, and
Yeah.
so the physical version, instead of having like a packing code you have
Right.
to type in and figure out and redeem and all this other garbage.
Right.
Like I will just give you a little thing that plugs it in because we got
Yeah.
complaints, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or like a lot of them have day one updates anyway, so you have to update them before playing them. If you're
Mm-hmm.
online, it's a big pain. Um, think that's what they're trying to get at, but it does
Hmm.
unlock the fact that you could play with multiple people, which is awesome.
Right.
But if I buy and I've signed up for the pre-order, I'll give you a little bit more news about this in a second. But I signed up for the pre-order. I want to get Mario Kart World Tour. If I get that cartridge and it's like it's not a real cartridge, I'm not going to be happy. And as
Yeah.
far as I can tell, it's not going to be a real cartridge. It's going to be like
Right.
one of those fake cartridges with a little code because it's one of those games where you can pass it around and do stuff with it. So I feel like the
Mm.
physical copy that I get, if there is any at all, if it's not just like a
Right.
code, then it feels like I'm going to get that fake one. Anyway,
Hmm.
but time will tell. What I'm really
Right.
angry about, though, if I could cart out my soapbox for a moment here, is that Canada gets shoved on the same cart as America in terms of not being able to pre-order the Switch on time due to tariff issues. And I understand that we're neighbors and we're very close, and grabbing stuff from Canada to the US is very
Right.
easy, but I'm still not happy because I did want to pre-order the Switch.
Oh, so
I
American,
can't
I
pre-order.
mean, you can't pre-order, and Americans
And
can't pre-order either.
cannot either. Yes. Yes.
And where
And
is it coming from?
Japan. And
Okay.
if you pre-order in Japan and buy in Japan, you can tell I'm really excited about this. This is why I'm wearing the Mario shirt today. You can it's a region locked console only in Japan. So only in Japan is it region locked, and it
Oh,
means that you can only play Japanese games, and the games that you've got can't leave Japan as far as I can tell. And it seemed to be the reason was they didn't want like massive queues in Japan for people buying the consoles there to import them to other countries. That's
wow.
seems to be the reasoning because it's the only
Right.
country that's region locked. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Wow.
So weird. So weird.
Huh.
Anyway, this is an interesting launch. Sorry for all the people who were here for
Yeah.
the AI
So
news.
what are the
But
dates of this thing?
May 5th is when you can finally pre-order. I think in US and
Okay.
Canada. I think that's a month late because I think pre-orders have already opened elsewhere. Um,
Hmm.
and then the console launches in June. I thought it was the 25th.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I believe. I
And
think
will
it
it
is
be? I mean, I bought my Switch middle of COVID,
June 5th.
when it was like they would they were never in stock,
Right,
for like a year, two
right,
years,
right.
and I finally saw like whatever Switch Lite or something, and that's the
Yep.
version I have.
Yep.
Um,
I was just looking at mine on the shelf. I don't know why, but yep.
um, and it's only because I happened to see that it was I happened to be at one of the online stores. I thought, oh, I wonder if they have it. Oh, they do have it. Good, done. I bought it, and
Right.
and I'm not really. I haven't really played as much as I think most Switch owners.
I
But
don't know. It seems like a lot of people bought many Switches and didn't play them, which
oh
seems
yeah,
very odd to me. Yeah. But it does seem to
I
be a
mean, I know.
common adult story of just like buying
Yeah,
multiple Switches and not playing them as much as you expected.
yeah. I mean, I know one of the. I mean, you work for, and I used to work for, probably one
Mhm.
of the bigger purchasers of Nintendo Switches
Right. As a what like a booth
as
kind
a
of
giveaway. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I was here for this or was just for
Oh,
the
okay.
tail end kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that reInvent we were giving away, a Nintendo Switch every 10 minutes for the entire show.
Wow. That is incredible.
So 4 or 5 days, 8 a.m. till every 15 minutes. So it was a 15 minute, capture the flag,
Yep.
and 5 minutes in between. So every 20 minutes for the entire show,
Wow.
Nintendo Switch was given away.
I kind of hate this, but I kind of love it too. Like
Yeah.
one of it is like I can understand some of these brands don't want to be associated with tech. I'm trying to think of the brand. Is it Helly Hansen didn't want their jackets used as like or Columbia or something
Mm,
like that? They're like no longer having logos on them. And I think we talked a little bit about Switch
yeah.
before. I was like, this is supposed to be for fans and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, I'm not. There's got to be whatever the new hotness is that we can give away
Yeah.
at booths. Like I guess that's what
Yeah.
I'm at. Whereas it's like it's not
Yeah.
maybe not a $500 console in Canadian dollars,
Hmm.
but something better than that. Yeah, have to think of something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Last time I wanted to give out Polaroids and was told that it was a great idea, and I was like, if you think it's a great idea, I'm pretty sure it's not. We did have two questions here, though. My
I
apologies. I
saw that.
skipped over
Yeah.
the one. So one of them is on upcoming R2 and Quen 3. So I've heard a little bit of rumblings about R2. I've not heard anything about Quen 3. What about yourself?
If it's an opinion on what, the value. I mean, what it's like. Like, well, it's not out yet, so it doesn't. I
Yeah,
mean,
can't say. Yeah.
there's no way. Uh, Almost every model that's ever come out, the hype about it shows that the model is far better than the model actually is.
Always.
So if it's, there's no way to say.
Yeah, does it
And the other
reason
person,
less and be faster? I mean, like
yeah, hey Matt, love your Olama videos. Gonna try to learn fine tuning soon. Yeah,
yeah, sorry,
I
I
think
didn't see the
I think
underscore,
I
so
need
love
to
there.
I need to repeat the beginning of Matt. Love your Olama. I love your Olama videos. Maybe I say that one
Uh
more time. Matt, I love your,
yeah.
yeah, love.
Yeah, I don't know. Love is love, brother.
Love.
So listen, yes, I am wearing a Mario shirt here today, mostly because
Yeah,
it's thinner and it's warm as heck these days.
he's
It feels
warm
like
here too.
AC season. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to make a segue here, and this is like I'm not going to pitch you my new startup idea, but it's kind of similar to that. So as I do, I've been testing out some models. I've been testing out Gemini 2.5 Pro is
Mm-hmm.
what this whole story is going to revolve around. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess what I'm getting at is that listen, the credits are about the same cost in Windsurf. I think it's 1x compared to Sonnet, which is what I normally use. Not thinking, but
Mm-hmm.
just the Sonnet 3.7. It feels faster. The details generally seem better, and the context seems to be
Mm-hmm.
a little bit longer in terms of the stuff I can get. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it feels like a drop-in replacement. But
Mm-hmm.
what I was testing it with is trying to figure out different ways of, I don't know, coming up with different solutions to different problems, I guess is maybe the thread here. So I was getting it to go through a whole bunch of different things, trying to make different apps. I was playing with that new Firebase Studio. Have you played with this at
Oh,
all?
okay, yeah. I've heard of it, but I haven't played with it.
Made some apps with that as well, and basically came up with a whole bunch of different ways of doing different things. I think, did I tell you about trying to calculate pi to the nth degree? Did that come
No.
up?
No.
Okay, so well, maybe I'll tell you the story because it might be more interesting. So back in the day, I used to build computers for. I was a system integrator,
Mm-hmm.
so I built computers,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them for people in university, that kind of stuff. Once in a while, I get a good client come in and ask me to build like a wave simulator or something to
Right.
calculate pi to the nth degree, just because we were really close to a university, which is awesome. I was like, oh, that sounds like a really dumb problem. I mean, I can. I can do that right here. It's like, oh, I mean, he's such a nice guy. I still remember his name. Sharif Mata was his name. He was like a post-grad professor at Dalhousie University, a pretty good Canadian
Mm-hmm.
university. He taught math, and in particular, he was interested in HPC, so high performance computing. And at the time, what had come out was a 64-bit processor. And to
Mm-hmm.
Sharif, this is a big aha moment because what he was trying
Yeah.
to prove is like systems engineering stuff and things like that. But the main thing is that there's actually a world record on one, how fast you can calculate pi, and two,
Mm.
to what digit, to like what,
Right.
how many digits can, and I think
Right.
200 billion is currently where they stand. um what surprised me, just slide aside here, is that the storage is non-trivial because you have to write these numbers to disk, and like, how long could
Oh,
pi
okay.
be?
Yeah.
They're talking about
Right.
terabytes of storage.
Right.
Sorry, I feel like the laughing guy meme here, where it was like, oh, this is non-trivial. At any rate, so I keep pounding out this model. Like, there's got to be a faster way. Like, I know some programs out
Right.
here that have different algorithms. They can do cool stuff. That's awesome. We got to a point where we were actually trying to optimize for the CPU capabilities that you're running on. So, like, does it have AVX
Mm.
512 or not? Does it have the new AMX extensions? Does it have
Right.
like one's called VNN, which is like the virtual? I think it might be VNNN. But anyway, virtual neural network. So there's different
Mm.
ways of going in to like
Right.
basically eke out as much performance as you
Right.
can from these. And listen, I'm not saying that I could do any of this math, and I'm getting it to do all the research, that kind of stuff. But I got to a point where I was like, could you define a program, like a program, not a computer program, but like
Right.
a set of
Oh,
tactics
okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like an approach basically to run this infinitely? So I can
Right.
always have the fastest thing, because we got into a point where we were talking about FPGAs and VRML. Was it
Mm-hmm.
VRML or the Verilog, basically? So writing code
Mm-hmm.
for FPGAs, making your own ASICs, using GPUs for some of it and CPUs for the other part. Like, it's actually pretty interesting how far you can go into some of this research, I
Right.
guess, is where this whole thread was going to. And when you can get feedback back from the model really quickly, then you can,
Hmm.
I don't want to say ideate, but like you can think about things faster. You can find different ways of working around the problem. And listen, I'm not even that interested in this topic, but it
Right.
was really interesting as a conversation to just sort of go through that exercise. I'm like,
Right.
then what could
Right.
we do? Then what could we do? What could
Yeah.
we add to it? Is there a way to do this pragmatically? What's the DevOps kind of approach to this?
Right. Right.
And I guess all I'm trying to say is that when things are faster, when there's less of that yeah, R1 or maybe R2 kind of spin up time,
Hmm.
it makes this whole process way, way more enjoyable. So I'm
Hmm.
sorry, document just publish way more interested in Qwen 3 on the coding side because I have tested
Okay.
Qwen Coder and it's actually quite good. Um, and what I find about them is that maybe they're not as accurate, but they're fast. And
Yeah.
sometimes what I need is the speed, not the accuracy. I
Yeah.
don't need to wait 5 minutes for a full-fledged app to come out with a couple
Right.
typos. I'd rather have like an idea that's just a mess because
Yeah.
that's how I code anyway, and then go in and fix it up because I'm a better debugger I think than I am a coder.
Right.
So it's
Right.
better for me just to get started and then start debugging the code than it is to like
Yep.
spend 5 minutes on an idea
And
that's wrong.
that's
Go ahead.
why I like. There's a program I like that I mentioned before called CoTypist, and
Mm.
CoTypist is just writing out the next like 4 words, 5 words in what you're typing,
It's like that
and then you
tab,
can
right?
tab. Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
just tab
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wherever you are on the Mac.
Right.
And you can get really big models, but they're going to take a while. Every time
Right.
you pause for a second, then it's going to take a while to generate the
Yeah.
next 5 words. I mean, then it becomes kind of useless. So I want the
It
smallest
feels like
possible
more
model.
toil, right? Like it's made it even
And
more
yeah,
stressful.
and so if it can spit out like as fast as I'm typing, spit out the next 5 words. As like often it's not what I want, but sometimes it is. And tap 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 tap,
Right.
and then it continues, and it's like, oh, this is exactly what I was thinking. And it's not every time, but I'd probably say I'm 40% of the time, it's like it is exactly what I was thinking, or a slightly better version of what I was thinking.
That
But it's
that stuff
fast.
is kind of weird. It's like you know me sort of.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
did you know?
yeah. And then every now and then you'll see 7 League Boots show up.
Yeah,
Remember that?
I do not.
No,
Just like record
you were
scratch.
reading their like blurb on the website, and it said better than 7 League Boots or something, and you pointed that out, and
Yes.
I was like, how did he know what I was typing the other day? Because as I was typing it, it came up with 7 League Boots. What the hell is 7 League Boots?
Ah,
What is that? And it's on their marketing bit.
amazing. I,
Yeah,
I I feel like that tab replacement thing is
yeah,
like it's been there for a while. IntelliSense has been there for a long
sure,
time, but it was like it was you like not useless. I don't want to say that, but like for what I think is toil,
yeah,
it was useless. Like if I ever have to type public static void main args or
right,
public
right,
string args, like
yeah,
never again. And
yeah,
it's just sorry to no, I understand. I've had my coffee here. I understand there are some Java devs in the chat. I
yeah,
apologize, but some of that boilerplate in the coding process
mhm,
is just no one wants to do this. And just
right.
when you start a Java file in cursor and in Windsurf, the first thing it does is fill
Or
that
the
all out for
initial,
you.
I mean, when
Git
Windows
tab, it's
development
all there.
first started, and you'd look at that the
Mm,
book on how to create programs in Windows. I mean,
right.
the first page of stuff of junk you had to write was all
Exactly
boilerplate.
the same.
It's like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Bring in .NET.
yeah,
Bring in the windowing system. Yeah.
yeah,
Start counting backwards. Yeah, it's super fun.
yeah,
Because I'm sorry, I'm making a joke about the windows, but I think it's 00, right? Is up here or something, so you have to count down.
yeah.
Have you ever made GUI apps? It's like on the web, I think it's reversed.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing the Windows stuff. I guess a little bit right around the time I joined Microsoft. I was
Okay.
doing a bit of that, but it's I haven't thought about Windows since then.
Yeah, I guess the argument being that you paint the screen at the top left to the bottom
Yeah,
right, but yeah.
right.
Oh, sorry, did I disconnect there? My apologies.
No, no, I hear you.
Awesome.
You hear
But
me?
yeah, that's the main thing for me is like just understanding that paradigm, and once you
Yeah,
get the paradigm, just
yeah.
going forward with it. But yeah,
So I
yeah, go ahead.
forwarded you that article.
Yes,
Did you take a look at that or that video? Did you look at that?
I no, I I did not, but I can tell you,
So,
I think we had talked about this before. I can tell you that I think I watched the video that set up this scam, and I feel like I know the scam, but I did want you to explain the scam to me to make sure they're not the same. Um,
but it's not so much a scam, I don't think.
it's a scam.
So it so
Or scheme?
the
Maybe
video
it's a
is by
scheme.
the video is by Ben Jordan,
Yep.
and he talks about when he was very upset when his
Oh, it's the
music
same guy.
gets
Okay, but yeah, my
okay
apologies. Yes, it's the same
when
guy.
his music gets used by AI models as training,
Yes.
and then you hear like you try to recreate like have Suno I think recreate a track you in the style of, and then it
Right.
recreates that track. What he's got going on, and he also had some talks with some folks at University of Tennessee Knoxville, I think,
Okay.
um, and they were able to create music that you hear, and then you give it to different models, and say recreate that in the style of this, and you do it with the original audio, and the new one sounds very similar. You do it with this slightly tweaked version that human ear you can't hear anything different about it, and it is like awful,
Oh,
like no
it's the opposite of
nothing
what I was
useful.
thinking. Oh, I gotta watch the
And
video.
then
I did see his
and
last
then
video. Okay,
and then
awesome.
he also had a track that he was playing on his basically playing on his phone, and
Yep.
if you are perhaps in a video conference or like video conference, audio conference, and somebody in the room happens to capture that audio
Yeah.
and then hand it off to a whisper model. If that
Oh.
audio is playing, it basically
Oh,
sounds like little, like there's a bird outside the window. I mean, it doesn't
right,
sound like anything
right.
awful, nothing annoying. And now the like whisper model can't figure out what is being said.
Oh, what's
Or
this
you
called?
play back,
Serigraphy?
I don't know what it was called,
Ah,
and there was another one where plays a track that has been tweaked with this formula, with this process,
oh,
um, and in front of an Alexa speaker, and with there's no commands that you can hear, but Alexa now knows to talk about who Ben Jordan is.
this is amazing. It's steganography. Sorry, I had to Google it because it's one of those words I'll not use very
Well,
often.
so and
Very
then
cool.
he created a company that does basically voice, creating voices that you can use AI to generate
Right.
whatever you want it to say.
Narration and
But
stuff
then
like that. Yep.
the if you're using a voice that is being used by them, then the money or portions of the money go back to the original creator of the voice.
Oh, cool.
And so some of the people that are involved with that are getting higher revenues from that
Ah,
than they get from
interesting.
Spotify, because they're actual
Mm,
singers. But then what was the oh, and then but the process for doing this, so they want to create. Basically, it would be great to have this as a service,
yeah.
but in order to do this, he's got two 5090s in a machine and it for like 1 minute takes like 10 hours to do whatever the process is.
You said
So
4090s or
it's
3090s?
50.
5090s. Okay, because I was like,
Yeah,
you can replace 3090s pretty easily.
yeah,
5090s are non-trivial. I think getting a
yeah.
GPU that could encapsulate two 5090s is not.
But
Oh
it's a
wow.
fascinating video.
I mean, that can only get faster. Also,
Yeah,
like it's similar as what was it? Netflix wanted to do online video famously and couldn't at the time, so they started with DVDs.
yeah.
Is what they say.
So I
Uh,
mean,
very
seeing
cool.
the transcription of like the original audio and then the
Yeah,
audio that's been like, it just
yeah.
has this going in the background, and is like the first one, it gets word for word absolutely correct. The second one, complete nonsense.
I love it.
Um, it was so cool. Now, the thing that it made me think about is like, okay, so if this process gets better, could
Right.
I then, or some YouTuber then, put this on their video that they produce,
Right.
Um, grab whatever the biggest hit of the day is, put it
Right.
in their video, and then have this kind of layer on top.
Yeah.
And now none of the engines can figure out that that's a licensed track.
Interesting.
And now is that a way for people to do something bad?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
But it's
just got a
interesting. It's
haircut.
a fascinating. Yeah.
No, absolutely. We've talked about the resume things and the white text. I think is another
Hmm.
attack, or like things in email where you, or I think
Hmm.
some tweets as well, where you try to get them to ignore instructions. I think
Hmm.
in the past we may have talked about this, like the ugliest mask or the ugliest shirt that will confuse face detection software. It's
Hmm.
from when Gibson
Super
Melville
Mario
played.
Brother shirt.
Yep, I mean, it is
Yeah.
pretty ugly.
Yeah.
I do have an uglier shirt, believe it or not, that I passed over for this one, but maybe I should wear that next week. I was feeling bright and cheerful today. Um, this concept though of having like a message hidden in another message, the
Yeah. Yeah.
steganographic
Yeah.
approach, I think is very, very interesting to
Yeah.
me. And then the other part of this is, so at Smart Things we used to have a couple employees who were I thought phenomenal. They kind of taught me DevOps back in the day over in
Uh-huh.
Minneapolis. They used to work for a company that did copy protection for video,
Hmm.
and you'd think that this is solved and like this is very easy.
Right.
But one of the main problems they had was that people would broadcast, let's say, a pay-per-view kind of movie, and
Hmm.
then you would send that broadcast out, and you would notice, oh, there's 50 copies of this running on illegal IPTV somewhere. No
Hmm.
idea where they got the source. Be cool if I could find the source so I could shut down the source so I could stop the stream. What
Right.
they decide to do is randomly embed messages into the video at different times and different area of the screen.
Hmm.
So if you recorded it, they could find it, and after the fact, they could. Yeah. But what they were after was live TV. Now,
Right.
I happen to be watching. I think it's Dazn or Dazen, but it's like one of those live streaming things for sports. I was
Hmm.
watching the football or soccer
Hmm.
European Champions Cup as I was getting my haircut. It was awesome. In
Hmm.
the corner, funnily enough, just for a split second, I saw this X hyphen 91 blah blah blah, this large
Uh-huh.
number, and that's what it's there
Oh,
for, is
okay.
to figure out who's streaming it. So it's per client, on a per
Right.
client basis. You can find the client, shut them down, stop the stream, kind of
Right.
thing. And I feel like not that, but in reverse, you could probably hide
Right.
stuff in video just the same way that you can hide stuff in audio, because there are two channels: there's video channel,
Right.
audio channel. And if you get something like slurping up your data, maybe it's trying to train
Yeah.
something, it might actually be worthwhile to have it, if you don't want to be slurped up, to add
Yeah.
something to the video or the audio that confuses or confuddles
Right.
or does something to it. Because I think we've proven at least that robots.txt does nothing in 2025. So
Yeah.
if we're going on the offensive, I guess the question is there a way to embed robots.txt
Right.
into your audio or your video? And it sounds
And I
like we're
guess
making some progress.
what you're talking about is similar to the I don't know, a classic way of figuring out who is the mole in any
Yeah.
organization. You tell
You
everybody
tell them a
there's
lie.
basically the same information, but with one little detail changed,
Yeah.
and figure out
Yep.
who told the
Yeah, just
lie.
change the color of the house to pink
Yeah.
or purple,
Yeah.
and the mole will. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's I guess what I'm trying to get at is, in these days, provenance, or maybe oh, what's another
Mhm.
word for provenance? But you need to find out like where the source is,
Right.
or like if this is the truth, the whatever you
Hmm.
call it, like the trustworthy source. I
Hmm.
think in photos we talked a little bit about that
There's
digital
a
protection.
Hasselblad, right?
Yeah, Hasselblad
Hasselblad
and
or
Leica,
Leica.
I think they both
Yeah.
did, and then everybody else is on board now to
Yeah.
prove that something is a real photo. And I feel like we're
Right.
going to have to do that for audio and video soon, because if we're passing around fakes or things that sound like Drake, or like,
Yeah.
what was the other one that was
But
recently?
But then, with that kind of stuff, somebody like Ansel Adams never would have become successful because
Right, because people
nothing of Ansel Adams was original. I mean, like
right,
nothing was the photo that came out of the camera. It was
right,
always doctored.
photoshopped.
Um,
Yeah.
well, no, I
Well,
mean like
yeah,
a,
yeah, yeah.
a
I'm
yeah,
sorry, photo
a
space
dark
shopped.
room. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, or like Jerry Uelsman, or so many of these Stieglitz. I mean, so many
Stieglitz, yeah, yeah,
photographers,
Stieglitz,
famous
yeah.
photographers from the 40s and 30s and 50s. I mean, all of their images are doctored. So Is that
Absolutely.
no longer allowed?
And then you get the Robert
Jeez.
Frank fans, and you don't realize that
Yeah,
Robert Frank took the photo this big, and, like, what you see is just this
yeah,
bullshit
yeah,
damn side because he shot really
yeah,
crooked and would, like, blow things way
yeah,
up, and yeah, he was awful. And he would dodge and burn too. You see his originals,
yeah,
and they look like garbage. It's like some of
yeah.
the worst photos you've ever taken. And
Right.
he polishes his turds into the shining nuggets.
Yeah.
They look great. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't it's hard to tell what's real these days, I guess
Yeah.
is what we're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
sorry, we've been a little bit over time. Did you have any checkouts this week? I can tell you one thing
I
that I
started
watched.
I
Yeah.
started watching
Oh,
a series on Netflix now that we have Netflix. Oh, the
right.
reason why we got Netflix
Called
was
Black Mirror,
because
right?
no, no. So the reason we got Netflix was, every Friday my mother and her boyfriend come over to our house for dinner.
Yeah.
And for a while we were watching, like, we would, after dinner we would go to the TV and watch a movie with, like that's good for my daughter,
Mhm.
who is 6 years old. And so
Yep.
it's been things like, the last one was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which she
That's a good one.
loves.
Yeah, that's Disney,
um,
right? That's not Fox,
no,
is it?
it's not. It's not.
Oh,
It's
I
I
didn't know
don't
that.
know what studio did it, but it's an
Oh.
Ian Fleming story.
Oh, sorry.
The James
I
Bond
yeah, I legit thought
books.
this was Disney. I'm so sorry.
Um, but then, I mean, there are all sorts of other. I mean, the only we've done some really bad ones. Like Matilda is awful for like a 6, super scary,
Oh,
like
yes, like
very
dark.
scary,
Yeah, it's
very
dark.
dark. And I think it's either not Cinderella, but Snow White.
Okay.
Terrifying. That caused
The
nightmares
original.
for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, that's the one with Maleficent, right?
Yes.
I think. Yeah. Um, but there's been some really good ones, and so we've just switched on to. Oh, and one of the really great ones was the movie, pretty recent movie, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That one was really great.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Um,
it's also fairly religious. It's a nice allegory. The
yeah,
lion
sort of. I
is
mean,
Jesus,
you don't
or the
need
lion is
to
God.
know.
Yeah,
You don't really
as an
need to.
adult though.
Yeah. Um, but what was recently, the reason we got Netflix was for Anne with an E.
Oh, my partner
So
loves that
Anna
show.
Green
Yeah,
Gables.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A nice Canadian story.
And yes, yes. Uh, but uh, but
I'm
the one
going
I've
there
been
this
watching.
year, by the
Oh
way.
yeah. Oh,
Not
okay.
Netflix, sorry, but
Prince
PEI.
Edward.
Yeah, Prince Edward Island, yes.
Yeah. The thing that I started watching just, I think, last week, and I've blasted through most of this show, is The Recruit.
Oh, I think I've seen some of that. Yeah, it's a cop show.
Um, it's a CIA, a
Oh,
lawyer for the CIA,
no, I
getting
haven't seen
into
this.
stuff he shouldn't be doing.
Ooh, that
Um,
sounds good. I'd watch
it's a lot of fun. So I'm
it
in
sounds like
like
you've just
season
been given it
2,
a
episode 3, and yeah,
right
yeah, I've
on.
been
Yeah,
giving
this
it
is
all.
like
Yeah.
77 on Rotten Tomatoes, which again,
Okay.
it's not the be all end all, but that's a pretty good
Yeah.
score. Right on. And
And
it's got
then I mentioned the watching last week. What was it? Emily in Paris, which is, the main character was really great. All the human actors were terrible.
like anybody in
Yeah.
Paris, I
Yeah.
think is what we
Yeah.
we wanted to name
Yeah.
the show. Yes, I had a good
Yeah.
laugh about that afterwards. Yes.
Yeah. But that's it. Oh, and then the other thing that I bought hoping would be better than it is, and I'm starting the process of trying to get it returned.
Yeah.
I bought two different kinds.
Okay.
Under desk treadmills, garbage.
So you can walk while you're sitting.
Yeah, walk while you're working. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Um,
I threw you for a
uh,
loop there. You're like, what? What?
yeah. So I got one that was like
I
pretty good.
during COVID, I read reviews for like 10 of these, and I got
Yeah.
so disappointed that I bought
Yeah.
nothing.
It seems like they all want to build features that aren't useful
Needed?
for
Yeah.
that thing. So I mean, okay, so this is something you're going to be standing typing as you're walking. Okay,
Yeah.
so you don't want to go too fast. So anything that says it'll go up to 7 miles an hour. It's like, who cares? I don't.
Done.
3 miles an hour is the max, or 2.5 max I ever want. So,
Two
okay,
and a
that's
half's
a
pretty
use.
slow, isn't it? You got long legs there, friend.
I think most of the time I'd probably be at 1.5 to 2.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
mean, I
so
obviously don't
just
use
for
that
like
math.
a not a like a regular walk. I mean, I can't regular walk and type,
Oh, just like
but
a
you want
stroll.
to be able to type at the
Gotcha.
same time.
Fair enough. I've
So
obviously not done this.
you're
Yes, yes.
you're doing this. I mean,
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
hands are all
I'd
over the
definitely be doing
place.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and then some of them like fold. Like,
Yeah, which seems
well,
like the worst freaking
this
idea ever.
stupid. I mean,
Why? Why?
engineering problem. You know
Yeah.
why?
Why would you
Why?
add an engineering problem to your product?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any
So
sense.
that's ridiculous. And then they have like a lot of them have a really low weight limit.
Oh, really?
Okay, I'm a little extra stored
Yeah.
knowledge here.
You
Um,
seem honestly fairly average for someone your height. Like
right. And so I
so
am above the limit for a lot of them.
you're like
Some of them
6'3"
are
though, aren't you?
6'4".
6'4". Yeah, you're quite tall.
And so a lot of them top out at 210 to 220 pounds. And some of them top out at 265, and I'm
Yeah.
above that.
210 is pretty low. Like I've hit 210
Yeah.
and I'm 5'7".
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
just COVID. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't hard. Hit that in months.
Um, and then some of them like, and then some of them. Okay, so you're doing this thing, and you're trying to type at the same time. So generally, what is not moving much as you're walking on this thing? Your hand, and therefore your wrist, which is where your Apple Watch is, which is tracking steps. So you're
Right.
not doing any steps. So you
Right.
want something that can synchronize up to Apple Health, and
Hmm.
some of them they claim that, and they claim it in the Amazon ad, and it turns out you need to have their awful app open
Ugh. Sorry.
while you're
Trying to eye
walking,
roll here. Oh,
and
that's awful.
then only if you've been doing it for longer than like 30 minutes will it actually
Oh.
synchronize any steps
Oh.
at the end. So it's like, well, so that was like WellFit, I think was the name of that company.
Yeah.
Trying to return that one, and there was another one that didn't even suggest that they synchronize with Apple Health, but they don't. And so there's so many of these. In fact, the one that I got, the first one I got said, a max weight of 300. Like, I'm way under that. That's great. And then you get it, and it says very clearly on the box, on the actual device, max weight 265. It's like, what? So there's this
I'll
like bait and switch.
I sent you in I think it's private to this thing that what
Okay.
I was looking at, but I'll tell you what it was. So it's the Wahoo is kind of what I
Mm.
settled on. Now the Wahoo is
Mm-hmm.
very expensive. It is also not an under desk treadmill. It is a treadmill with a
Mm.
small shelf on it where you can put a laptop. But
Mm-hmm.
because I've used Wahoo stuff before, I know it's
Right.
not bomb proof, but pretty darn close. Like they
Right.
make stuff to monitor the Olympic bike teams.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they're known for.
Yep.
This thing was amazing, but also really expensive. And I think even just to
Mm.
get shipped here was very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah. Oh, it's not even out yet. But yeah, it's like not cheap, not cheap at all.
Mm.
This is what I was looking at.
What does non-cheap mean?
My
Mm.
understanding was it was 2 grand USD,
Oh, that
and
is not cheap.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
let's see if we can
Yeah. I
find
mean,
it.
I would love, and it's huge. It's super thick.
Oh,
So I mean,
it's massive, massive.
massive thing. What I'd like is something. Some of the ones I got were like, well, some. I mean, I only got two, but they were basically 4 or 5 inches high. No handle, nothing like that. So I want
Sorry,
something that high.
5,000 USD.
5,000?
Yeah,
Oh my god! I mean, even the Peloton is 2,000, I think.
it was like the most expensive that I saw. I thought
Oh my
2,000 was a lot in
goodness!
my brain, but I guess I was
Yeah,
undercutting it. Yeah,
yeah,
and
that's crazy.
it comes with a $300 setup service if you want. I think that's US only, but they'll
Oh
come to
yeah,
your house and set it up. So they're definitely after that same
right.
like Peloton market.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I
The,
like the fact that it offers a integrated fan,
like
the
awesome.
headwind. That looks pretty cool. So
Phenomenal.
it feels like you are wherever you are running.
Yeah,
That's pretty
like
neat.
I can buy a fan.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and The first one I got was about 18 inches wide, or maybe 20 inches wide, which
Okay.
is it's not
Yeah.
huge. I mean, you definitely need to like make sure you're walking straight and kind of paying attention. The second one I got, which offered this health integration, it was actually about 4 inches thinner, and so now you have
Oh,
to really be careful
yeah.
because you're not paying it. You're trying to pay attention to whatever you're coding or whatever.
You're not looking
Um,
at your feet. Yeah.
Not you're looking at your feet.
Yeah.
And I want something that has the bigger motor that some of these have, two and
Hmm.
3 horsepower. I think is what some of the bigger ones are, and then but max out to 3 miles an hour max. Don't go faster. Integrate actual integration with something that I can use and not require me to use a horrible app. Oh, it does have integration with KinoMap and Zwift. Although
Zwift?
Zwift is a popular one for I think cyclists.
Oh, okay.
Um, but except it only synchronizes speed and not how many steps you make. It's like, well, what? That, that's the reason I was trying to do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Zwift has a partnership with Wahoo, of course.
Oh yeah, okay,
Interesting. So it's an
so
indoor cycling tracking thing, which is why I hadn't heard
yeah,
of it.
yeah,
Very, very interesting. I do find this stuff pretty cool. Like I'm here for
yeah. Oh yeah,
the quantified self kind of stuff, especially
yep,
when
yep.
any way I can gamify
Right.
health. I think it's up to me. Listen,
So
we're
Zwift, one
yep.
interesting thing about Zwift is it
Hmm.
offered if your treadmill isn't supported by Zwift, I think it's Zwift, um, then it has another option where it will use the camera to detect
Oh,
your how much your because basically your head is moving up and down,
yeah.
and so it's tracking that.
Because I
So
think
if you
the
want to fake it,
kicker,
you just do this.
yeah, the Wahoo kicker just like it attaches to the rear wheel, is my understanding, or
Okay,
like
yeah,
the one of the gears. So that's how it tracks. It just
right,
uses that. Yeah.
yeah,
Listen, I do have to run though. My apologies.
okay,
We're slightly over, so I gotta take off. I'm actually doing
okay.
work. We're getting ready for this event called Dash. I'm not sure if
Oh,
you've heard of it. And as a result,
yeah.
I'm shepherding a whole bunch of abstracts and titles that I gotta get back to. I've only got
In New
24 of them
York,
to do
right?
in
It's
New
in New
York.
York, right?
It is in
So
fact in New
my
York in June.
favorite, uh, long ago at Dash, I probably one of the first Dashes. We got
Yeah.
a vendor to come in for one of the snacks, like
Yeah.
mid afternoon snack, and oh my god, I still have memories of this thing. It was a donut, like a big donut,
Okay.
really great. Okay, big donut, glazed donut that they slice in half and put ice cream in the middle. And so it's an ice cream sandwich with a big ass
Donut.
donut.
Whoa.
Oh god, it was so good.
Did you have a nap after? Like this doesn't sound like
Oh
conference food to
god,
me.
this was amazing. They had that and
Oh,
that thing with the like the cakey fish that they I think Korean is it or
taiyaki
uh,
with red
yes
bean
I think
paste in the middle. Okay. Yeah.
yes yeah.
Very
So
interesting.
anyway, but except they had it with ice cream.
All right, folks. Well, come to New
Okay,
York. There may
come
or
to New
may not
York.
be ice cream. Thank you so
Uh,
much. Sorry, gonna have to leave early, but yes,
yep.
I do actually have to get some work done.
Okay.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for all
Work.
the questions in the chat. Yeah, I know. It's so odd. Yes, in this t-shirt, like
Okay.
all right. Thank you so much for the chat, the comments. That was fantastic. Shout out to Maple, the Canadian alternative to MATLAB. I'm not sure anybody but me and Alexei got that, but here we are.
Is it actually Canadian? Hmm.
Absolutely.
Versus MATLAB being Boston, right?
I think so. Yes, I think you're
Yeah.
correct. And also in that Cambridge
And
area kind of thing.
Mathematica.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Waterloo versus yeah.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Uh, I gotta find the stop button. Where'd it go? He left. Okay, bye.